Rob have him come and tell us.
Thank you, Freddie. Everybody here is a member. How many of you are not members of the New Jersey Second Amendment Society yet? All right. Fewer hands on the way out the door is one of the things that I would ask you guys to do. I just got to know Frank, long distance, New Jersey Second Amendment Society, long distance, and I like the idea of the name. I don't know how the board of directors came up with the name. I'm now meeting and putting names and faces, and we just had a great dinner and conversation. We get to meet more people here tonight. And I'm sure I know some of you already in the audience. I'll get to know you after this. We can chit-chat and all that after we get done with the formal part of this. I like the idea of a society. I don't know whose name, like that was planned, that was politics, that was marketing, but a society is a little different from an organization. It's a little different from an association. It's going to be a group of people who do things, a group of people with a like common interest who do things, who agree on certain things, and probably disagree on some things. There are probably some people in this room who disagree about whether the Glock or the 1911 is the best pistol ever, or the 9mm 45 is the best kind of round to carry. But there might also be people inside of the society, just like there are people in the greater society that is New Jersey or is your community or your town, who might disagree about whether or not someone should be able to carry a loaded 25-round capacity rifle in their car when they drive around. There might be people in this room who don't necessarily think that's a brilliant idea. You might think it's absolutely imperative that you're able to carry a firearm in self-defense in public, and that anybody who wants to restrict that right in any way is, an evil denier of the Constitution. But within the society that is responsible gun owners, there are going to be disagreements. And no organization is going to be perfect. No group of people is all going to agree on it, or all going to agree on everything. And I think it's important that as this relatively young organization, with a lot of vibrant energy and passion and enthusiasm in the leadership and in the membership, continues to grow and continues to do things, and starting with the influencing the elections this fall, that you guys and everybody goes into it understands that there are going to be those disagreements. There are going to be some, I wish we'd do more on this, and I wish we'd do more on that. The way that's going to happen, the way your personal interests are probably going to be met by this society, just in the conversations I've had with you guys and what I've learned about it, is through your participation, through your active involvement in the society, your active involvement in your communities, your active involvement in at your ranges, not just sitting around with your group of guys that loves the AR, or loves the Glock, or loves the this or that, but with everybody, and with bringing the new people in, as Frank just talked about. So that's the first thing I want to say to you guys. If we have the meeting now, that to me was the most important thing I could see when I actually came here to meet members and meet the board of directors and see what was going on. A lot of you don't know that I'm from New Jersey. Grew up in New Jersey. My dad was a cop in Atlantic City. I grew up shooting in the woods of New Jersey down south. My mom still lives there. I stayed at my mom's house last night. I was out drinking my high school friends last night in South Jersey. And I like coming back here. I don't like the fact that when I come back here, I have to worry about whether or not I scoured my car for every round of ammunition that might have been in there, from the literally hundreds of students who sit in my car throughout classes when I pull my car out on the range, and they learn to shoot from inside of the vehicle, inside of my vehicle. Now, I was telling the guys at dinner, New Jersey isn't the worst place. When I go to Massachusetts, the empty brass that has been ejected from the right-handed shooters shooting out of the driver's side window and gone into my fence through the holes in the dash are up to a 2-year jailable offense. Because it is an ammunition component. I teach in the United Kingdom. I work with private citizens. I work with law enforcement in the United Kingdom. It is worse there. It's particularly bad there this week. There are places that are worse. So as much as, yes, this isn't the optimum place to be a firearms owner, it could get worse. And again, your active participation in your community, people out and helping them to become the same is going to keep it from getting worse and probably make it better. If we look at the trend in politics in this country for the last 20 years, it is to make things better for gun owners. A lot of times as gun owners, we sit around and we talk about how it's awful and it's horrible and it's restrictive and it's this and that. And yeah, we had the 10 years we had to deal with the assault weapon ban situation. Some places laboring longer under that than others, but on a federal level, that 1994 to 2004, with that exception, and remember that was 94, we look from 94 on, the movement has been in our direction, to include most recently Wisconsin becoming a state that is going to allow their citizens to carry concealed firearms for personal defense. And New Jersey gets that big asterisk. Yes, you can carry a gun here for personal defense, but you've got to jump through a lot of hoops, you've got to be in the right list, you've got to know the right people, you've got to be in the right county, you've got to do all these things. The goal, of course, is to change this. My specialty is not politics. My specialty is even really knowing the laws in each state. I'm familiar with New Jersey, I have family and friends here, I grew up here, and obviously I still come back relatively often. My brother is on his way up here now. He's going to come late from work, but he's going to file for his non-resident Florida permit, since the gun for hire guys are here doing that and making it incredibly convenient for everybody. I know a lot of you are taking advantage of that. Half of you are probably going to be here for that. That's cool. Appreciate you sitting down and listening to the law table. The thing that I deal with is defensive issues, right? So I have the DVD series that comes out through the NRA, the Second Amendment Foundation. I know a lot of you get that. Outward Channel, I have a couple television shows I've worked on there, been guests on, History Channel shows, stuff like that, a couple books out there. But mostly I run classes. I show up in my truck, or I get off a plane, rent a car, and I run classes helping people get better at being capable of defending themselves in worst case scenarios. I do counter ambush training, which is, to me, a made-up word, a little bit of a marketing word, counter ambush, which that sounds kind of cool, sounds kind of exciting. The reason I do counter ambush training is because I think the defensive firearms training industry has been a little watered down over time. I think a lot of what gets done in the name of defensive shooting is really target shooting. Maybe target shooting with a black gun or something. A lot of it's very mechanical, a lot of it's very slow, a lot of the things I see people practicing I find being congruent with the things I see people needing to do and actually doing on dash camera videos, on surveillance camera videos, in actual incidents. So my company, I.C.E. training company, and our primary firearms program, Combat Focus Shooting, is a defensive shooting program specifically focused on counter ambush. What do we do in the worst case scenario when we truly get caught off guard? What are we going to do in that moment? And how do we best integrate our firearms practice, gear selection, training, and tactics with a lot of how we're going to use our techniques in the fight in that exact moment? Well, when I travel around, I'll show up in New Jersey, or I'll show up in Pennsylvania, or I'll show up in Toronto, and the laws are always going to be different. The laws are always going to be more or less restrictive. People will think that they have it really good, think that they have it really bad, and it really doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, we're all going to be human animals with a mechanical tool in our hand that we're going to try to use to defend ourselves or others when appropriate. And that appropriate issue is probably at the heart of the politics at the end of the day, the heart of the law at the end of the day. So for me, constitutional right, absolutely. Should we all be able to carry guns to defend ourselves when we need them? Absolutely. Should we all not need to defend ourselves with guns because people are nice to one another? Sure, great. But all that stuff is kind of out there. What's in here and what's in here and what's on the range will run on the class. Some of you can train with me. There's some graduates from our classes here tonight. And you've seen the videos, you've seen the DVDs. What we need to understand is how to defend ourselves. We don't need to understand when to defend ourselves. We don't need to understand why we should defend ourselves. And this is where my politics kind of ends. Because when I have to justify to someone, or when I'm asked by a student to help them justify when it's okay to use a gun. If there's a guy in your living room with an axe I don't care if you have Catholic doctrine. I don't care if you have, if you're going to go to jail the next day. I really don't care, because there's a guy there with an axe, wants to hit you with the axe. That's what I care about. That next 3 to 5 seconds is what I train for. That's what I teach people for. That's what I write books about. That's what we do DVDs and TV shows about, is what do you do then? And I realize that's difficult. That's difficult to say, well, let's just forget about whether or not it's okay. Let's go back to Massachusetts. When I teach in Massachusetts, several of the classes I taught up there, I stayed in New Hampshire. The range just happens to be very close to the border, and I like New Hampshire more. So I stayed there, and literally, there's a moment there where if I have a flat tire, and I'm on the side of the road, it would be okay for me to use my gun to defend myself when I'm standing at the back of the truck. But if I were standing at the front of the truck, it's not okay. That is ludicrous. It is absolutely ridiculous. You're kind of in the same situation here. You're going to get a permit that says you can carry a gun, but not where you live. You're going to have a gun in your home. You can defend yourself there, but you better be able to articulate this, that, and the other thing. But if your home, where we pick your home up and put it in another place, we move it a couple hundred miles, you wouldn't have to justify anything. Look, body in the house, that guy was wrong. He wasn't supposed to be there again. And that works both ways. One of the things I caution some of the people in other states who have the Catholic doctrine, which, to paraphrase it the way it's usually articulated in the gun forums and stuff, is if guys in my house and I don't want them to be, I can shoot. And I can say I was in fear of my life just the fact that it's in my home, and my home is my castle. I can protect myself and use a gun to do it. And I tell people that you want to be really careful about that too. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right? So that this is that responsible part. This is that if you need to use your gun, you're going to know. It's not an issue of can, it's an issue of should. Do you need to? So I'll tell people, if you're in your living room and you've got a gun in your hand, and there's a guy trying to kick your door in, and he kicks the door in, and you shoot him, I don't care what state you're in, you may not have needed to. Because why are you standing in your living room? Why aren't you in your bedroom behind another closed door? Why with your family? Now maybe that's why you're in your living room. Because you've got kids over here and kids over here, and they're in their bedrooms, and you can't get everybody together, and you're going to mount your defense in your living room, and then cool. But if you had the choice, home alone, to stand on the side of the doorway and say, this is my castle and I'm going to shoot you, or you had the choice to go upstairs and close the bedroom door and be on the phone with the police hoping that guy doesn't come through both doors and not have to shoot somebody, I think that's probably the better choice, because that's the better tactic. That's the better self-defense choice. So, again, the laws, some of the laws make it sound like it's going to be real easy to be able to use your gun to defend yourself. Some of the laws make it sound like it's going to be really hard to defend yourself with a gun. I really don't care at the end of the day. If you're standing there with a loaded gun and someone's trying to chop you in half with an axe, I think you should shoot. I don't care if you're in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, the Czech Republic, Somalia, wherever you happen to be, that's exactly what that firearm is designed to do, is to protect you. And how you do that is what we teach, not necessarily why. Because why shouldn't have to be taught, and why shouldn't have to be explained, and why shouldn't have to be legislated. But that's the world that unfortunately we do live in right now, is that we have to explain this to people and get them to understand it. The reality is, I don't think that's the hard part. The hard part is, well, what if this, what if that, what if the other thing? And those things are always going to be, what if the bad guy can do that? Well, we all know the bad guy's going to have to do it anyway, regardless of what the law says, what the society does. It's not going to have a New Jersey Second Amendment Society membership card in his wallet. That's my guess. That person isn't the person that's going to come to the training, come to this meeting, pay the dues, make the donation, support the organization, take new people out of the range, do all the things that we want to do, again, as responsible, safe gunners. Because I'm not really like a politics guy, and because I already had a few questions in the back, I asked these guys if it was okay if I just do kind of like a little question